We leave Nairobi and make our way towards Samburu National Reserve.
The drive to Samburu was entertaining, to say the least. Motorcycles with motorcycles, lush green landscapes, open-air markets. My sister Becky's shutterbug finger.
That's a market.
She was having a blast, and we haven't even seen any animals yet. Becky was in the Peace Corps in Zaire when she met her French husband, Claude. They lived in the Congo before moving to Paris and then back to the States. She was thrilled to be back on the continent, and I was so happy to be sharing Africa with my sister. We climb up to acacias, beautiful cloudscapes, and we pass Maasai villages with their traditional homes, manyatas. We traveled in 2 vehicles as we had met up with more of the traveling group in Nairobi. After about a 5-hour drive, we entered Samburu National Reserve, and we saw our first sighting, elephants, with lots of oohs and ahs.
Oh, cute.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Mama. Hey, Mommy, where are you?
We will be spending the next 3 days at Elephant Bedroom Camp, a beautiful tented camp right on the banks of the Ewaso Ngiro River.
The camp was named Elephant Bedroom Camp because you share the elephant's bedroom.
The Ewaso Ngiro flows through the middle of the reserve with doum palm groves and thick riverine forests that provides water without which the game in the reserve could not survive in this arid region. What is unique about the doum palm tree is the fact that it's the only palm tree that branches out. The doum palm tree is endemic to the Samburu region, inasmuch as it does not occur in any other area.
I love elephants, and I always experience complete, utter joy when I see them in the wild. And I love stories about the relationships of animals and humans and the abilities of communication between the two. But the experiences of Lawrence Anthony, known as the Elephant Whisperer, goes beyond the pale. Lawrence Anthony was passionate about the preservation of elephants. His gift for communicating, combined with patience and determination, saved a group of rogue elephants from being destroyed. He consequently gave them a life of peace and safety on his reserve, Tula Tula, in South Africa. Known for his unique ability to calm traumatized elephants, Anthony has become a legend. One of the stories he tells in his book is that whenever he arrived back at Tula Tula from a trip, the elephants would line up to greet him at the front gate. And once, when he was in Durban and his flight was canceled, the elephants stopped their march to the gate and turned back at exactly the same time he heard his flight was canceled. Now, how do you explain that? When he passed away in March of 2012, there was a solemn procession of 2 herds of elephants that defies human explanation. The elephants came from miles away, a 12-hour trek of Zululand bush. How did they know he had died? And they traveled to his home to pay their last respects, and they stayed for several days to say farewell. A beautiful homage to a special man, and a beautiful revelation of the interconnectedness of all of us.
Sadly, there are no more rhinos in Samburu. They've all been poached to extinction. As for elephants, it struck me that there are no large cows and bulls. The majority of the elephants we saw were adolescent with no large ivory. They've all been poached out. If we want to save Africa's elephants, we need to educate China and other Asian countries to stop making trinkets of ivory, because that is going to cause the extinction of the African elephant. Every week brings new reports of shipping containers full of tons of ivory discovered at ports in Africa or on the receiving end in Asia. Very recently, a family of 12 elephants were killed, which is very disturbing because it's indiscriminate killing, irrespective of whether the elephants had large tusks or not. They were just going after the ivory, large or small. Which is very disturbing, because if you look at the elephants in Samburu, you don't see large elephants. You don't see elephants carrying large ivory. They've all been wiped out, just for the ivory. They've all been wiped out.
Join, visit, and support 14-year-old Celia's efforts to educate. She lives in Hong Kong and she is known as the Elephant Girl. Let's get some U.S. schools involved. The Gerenuk, also known as Waller's gazelle, is a long-necked species of antelope, and they look like something out of a fairy tale, sometimes called the giraffe-necked antelope. They have a relatively small head for their body, and their eyes and ears are large. Gerenuks browse on prickly pear bushes and trees, such as acacia. They can reach higher branches and twigs than other gazelles and antelope by standing erect on their rear legs and stretching their elongated necks. This was my first sighting of this adorable creature, and I was thrilled. Is that cute or what? The name Impala comes from the Zulu language meaning gazelle. They are adaptable foragers, switching between grazing and browsing depending on the season. They may be known as the McDonald's of the bush, and they may be easy to take for granted, but these lovely animals are almost perfectly proportioned and a delight to watch.
The Game Reserve is renowned for its rare species of animals unique to the park. Here we think of the long-necked Gerenuk, the Grevy's zebra, the reticulated giraffe, as well as the bison oryx. Not to forget the Somali ostrich. The elusive leopard is also often encountered on afternoon game drives. Those horns are lethal. The oryx has been known to kill lions with them, and because of those horns, they are sometimes referred to as saber antelope.
One of the great delights of traveling with friends is getting to see their faces when we come across great sightings. For us, watching Susan as we came up upon her first lion, and it was really camouflaged in the bush, and she spotted it first.
Susie's first lion. Terri, will you go scratch her and wake her up? Good idea. Get some action. We want an action shot.
Lions have specialized roles that each gender plays in the pride. The lioness, who does most of the hunting, lacks the male's thick mane. Lions spend much of their time resting and are inactive for about 20 hours per day. Hunting most often takes place through the night hours until dawn. Some lions are residents living in groups called prides. The pride usually consists of 5 or 6 related females. And then there are the nomads, who range widely and move about sporadically, either singularly or in pairs. A lion may switch lifestyles. Nomads may become residents and vice versa. Females form the stable social unit in a pride and do not tolerate outside females. A female who becomes a nomad has much greater difficulty joining a new pride. The African lion population has declined by more than 50% in 30 years, with fewer than 35,000 lions estimated in the wild today. The Big Cats Initiative is trying to make a change in this. Loss of habitat, prey decline, pesticides, even canine distemper and tuberculosis have caused lion numbers to quickly decline across Africa.
Lionesses do the majority of the hunting for their pride, being smaller, swifter, and more agile than the males, and unencumbered by their heavy and conspicuous mane, which causes overheating during exertion. They act as a coordinated group in order to stalk and bring down their prey successfully, which is a nice way of putting it. The males are just plain damn lazy.
The reticulated giraffe are the most distinctively patterned of the 8 subspecies of giraffe. Giraffe feed by browsing, which typically means they eat continuously throughout the day. A male is able to eat 75 pounds of food in a single day. Giraffe have very tough lips to guard against scratching. Giraffe have a symbiotic relationship with a few types of bird, most notably the oxpecker. These birds perch on the backs of giraffe and alert them to possible predators. Oxpeckers also eat mites and dirt off the giraffes, keeping them clean. Due to their formidable size and ability to spot danger, giraffe have very few predators. Giraffe can use their powerful tails to swat the flies and get some relief from the pest. Giraffe mothers give birth standing up, so baby giraffes fall 7 feet to the ground. Ow! And you thought a little spanking at birth was bad.
Giraffe bulls establish dominance through a process known as necking. The giraffes with the tallest and strongest necks are victorious and allowed to reproduce, thus passing these genes on to future generations. These guys are just kind of messing around, not ready for prime battle as of yet. Whichever giraffe uses his neck and head the most effectively and remains standing the longest would be considered the winner and is allowed to mate with a female.
The secretary bird has been traditionally admired in Africa for its striking appearance and ability to deal with pests and snakes. While the bird roosts on the local acacia trees at night, they spend much of the day on the ground, returning to roost just before dark. The secretary bird was supposedly named because it resembles an old-fashioned secretary carrying quill pens tucked behind her ears. A large bird of prey, the secretary birds feed mainly on large insects and small mammals, which it often stamps on before swallowing whole. Unique not only for its name, the secretary bird stands out because of its distinct profile, quite unlike that of any bird. The secretary bird also has long, bare legs, which resemble those of a crane, but are much more powerful.
Although it can fly very well, the secretary bird prefers to move around on foot and can cover 30 kilometers, which is about 20 miles, earning its title Africa's Marching Eagle. A large bird of prey, the secretary bird feeds mainly on large insects and small mammals, including snakes. They often catch snakes, fly up high with them, and then dropping them to the ground in order to kill them before they will then start consuming it. The heat of the day is spent in camp. There's no point in going on a game drive when all the animals are bedded down. A typical day on safari, you are woken early in the morning, have coffee, breakfast, and maybe a continental breakfast, then go on a game drive, spending the next 2-3 hours when it's still cool and the game is abundant and to be seen everywhere. Around 10:30, 11, when it starts warming up and the game beds down, we will head back to the safari camp, enjoy a siesta, and later on in the day, around 3:30, we would enjoy an afternoon tea and then head out on the next game drive, which will continue to just about sunset, when we have what we call a sundowner, snacks, gin and tonic, whatever your preferred beverage would be, and then head back to camp, go and have a sumptuous dinner.
Behind you.
I found that this girl can entertain. Linda, our Chicago buddy, more fun than I can describe.
No, I was trying to get you in the shop, so look cute.
And she has a big heart, too. There wasn't anyone she couldn't start a conversation with. Every now and then, it hits me how fortunate I am to travel with my sweet husband and hang with my dear, dear sister. And then, the most glorious of sunsets to top it off. Just doesn't get better than this. Thank you, God.